Let's face it, we've all dreamed that certain celebrity couples could be our actual parents at some point in life. For little Inez and James Reynolds and baby number 3 on the way, that dream is a reality. Their mom and dad are Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, so their life is probably full of glamour and luxury, right? As it turns out, Blake and Ryan tried to run a tight ship at home and parent the way that any non-celeb parents would. Well, as much as they can anyway. We're taking an inside look at some strict parenting rules that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are on our list of greatest celebrity couples ever because, well, isn't it obvious? This is a power couple. Classy and hilarious movie stars who are both beautiful and talented who got married and also had some adorable children. It kind of makes you secretly wish you were a member of their family, right? Let's look at what that might look like. Blake and Ryan, who have been married for 6 years now, have 2 adorable, and we mean adorable children, James and Inez. Blake and Ryan are both constantly killing it with their careers and work a lot. Ryan Reynolds was busy promoting his film Deadpool 2 while Blake was busy with press for her film A Simple Favor. That's a lot of work and a super full schedule for a pair of parents with 2 little ones. So where do they find the time to actually raise and spend time with their kids? As it turns out, they have a pretty strict rule for their busy Hollywood schedules to help keep their family happy and their marriage secure. Ryan claims, quote, "We don't allow our film schedules to overlap. We are very conscious of being very present as parents. I come from a big family and so does Blake, and we want to create a very warm and happy environment for our children," end quote. This means that while one of them is working on a film, the other one isn't. Ryan said that this makes it easier to juggle all the craziness that their lifestyles throw at them. It gives them time to have at least one of them at home with the kids doing normal parent duties. Seems pretty simple, right? Ryan also says that this allows them both to be very present as parents. Ryan Reynolds sounds like such a doting and kind father, but some people just can't shake his Deadpool image. You might think that some of his character's bad boy traits would come home with him after a day of shooting, wouldn't you? Both Ryan and Blake want everyone to know that that's just not the case. They tell everyone that despite his convincing performance as the wisecracking mercenary, Ryan is actually quite sentimental. Ryan says when it comes to being sweet with his kids, quote, "I can lay it on pretty thick," end quote. Not only do they keep things sweet and soft with their kids, they also keep things clean. And we don't mean tidy and neat because, let's face it, even celebrities can't keep their kids from making a sticky mess. What we mean is that Blake and Ryan keep the potty mouth out of the house. Ryan is known for playing a few characters who tend to use some filthy language and dark humor, but he promises that that's just on screen. The actor attended the Times Square premiere of his upcoming animated flick, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, on May 16, 2019 in New York City. This was also when he and Lively revealed they were expecting their 3rd child when she showed off her baby bump while posing for pictures. When interviewed on the red carpet with Vanity Fair, Ryan said they try to keep the dialogue kid-friendly. They have had a slip-up or two where Ryan described him accidentally using the F word in the house, but he also explained what most of us are thinking, saying, quote, "I think most parents go through that, but we keep it pretty clean in the house and even on set," end quote. Yes, that's right, these 2 girls get to visit their parents on set. They're so lucky. Even when Ryan was filming Deadpool. However, they clarified that they use their discretion when it comes to some of the more intense scenes. Ryan said, quote, "I never brought them when I was doing something gnarly," end quote. Which, if you've seen Deadpool, you know that a lot of those set days were gnarly. We think the girls probably didn't see Dad on set that much during those shoot days. He also added that what actually made the girls the most uncomfortable was the style of makeup he wore for the film. He said that the girls got freaked out when they saw his prosthetic burns and he couldn't console them. Maybe they should add no scary makeup to their list of on-set rules for their little ones. Blake and Ryan, as we've mentioned, are beautiful and talented movie stars with hectic schedules. Their no overlapping films rule seems to be working pretty well for them schedule-wise, but what about when they're shooting on location somewhere other than their New York home? Ryan told People magazine, quote, "If she is doing a movie in Thailand and I am doing a movie in Vancouver, we would just never see each other," end quote. So what is their rule? Simple. Travel together. Blake and Ryan choose to tag along with whoever is filming at the time when it comes to on-location filming. Blake and Ryan say, quote, "We operate as a unit and that works really well for us," end quote. This means that Blake, Ryan, James, and Inez go wherever the movie industry takes them. Ryan reminded everyone how great of a dad he is by explaining that home is where your family is, not a house. He said, quote, "The kids stay with us and the family stays together, and that is where home is. So if we are in Spain or Utah or New York, as long as we are together, we're home," end quote. Aw, we knew Ryan Ryan was always made for fatherhood, although he couldn't resist also adding a few jokes in after saying something so sentimental. It's Ryan Reynolds after all. He reminded every parent who may be within reach what they already know. It's not always rainbows and sunshine traveling with little ones. Ryan got hilariously honest when he described flying with the entire family in a way only Ryan Reynolds could. He said, quote, "Usually when I'm on an airplane with my kids, at some point I get up and ask the flight attendants if I can leave the aircraft," end quote. Doesn't that just make you want to have a few kids? Even though Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are super famous, they say they try to raise their daughters with as normal a life as possible. When asked why they wanted to maintain a regular childhood for their kids despite being in the spotlight, Blake kept it real. She said, quote, "My husband and I chose a profession with a side effect. Your personal life is public. Our children haven't had the opportunity to choose whether or not they want their personal life to be public or not. So, in order to give them as much normality as possible, we want them to have a childhood like we had," end quote. Blake and Ryan may be living the high life these days, but that wasn't the case when they were growing up. Unlike some stars who literally grew up in the spotlight and couldn't go anywhere even at a young age, Ryan and Blake had regular childhoods. Blake's 2 daughters are still so young and should be able to play and learn and grow without the pressure of fame. It's one thing for Blake and Ryan to navigate being in the public eye, but it's certainly another for their kids. Another way that Blake helps her kids feel normal? She keeps them away from the cameras. Blake and Ryan have a strict rule about maintaining as much privacy as they can. If you look around on the internet, you'll be pressed to find that many professional pictures of the little ones. Mostly, you may find paparazzi-style pictures of James and Inez with their mom and dad doing normal family things. Oftentimes, Blake is covering her girls with a blanket or holding them close so that they don't get overwhelmed with so many cameras in their face. I'm sure Blake has a very full camera roll on her phone though. Who wouldn't want to get snapshots of these adorable faces? Blake may be the one who keeps the kids' photos to a minimum, but Ryan admits he just can't help but share photos of his girls to everyone. Ryan says, quote, "I remember how I used to get bored when people would show their baby pictures and I wanted to jump out of the window after parents would show me baby photos on their phone. Since I've become a father though, I can't stop taking my own children's photos and showing them to my friends," end quote. This next rule for Blake and Ryan shouldn't surprise you at all. What's one thing in their home that is mandatory? Laughter. In Ryan Reynolds' house, would you expect nothing less? As cheesy as it sounds, we think this is one of the most important rules that these two have. You have to be able to laugh at all of the stuff parenting throws at you. We already know that Ryan and Blake love to poke fun and troll each other on social media. Blake and Ryan made fun of each other and their own daughters in a video that Ryan tweeted just before the release of the Pokemon Detective Pikachu trailer. Ryan jokes that he got so immersed in the role of Pikachu that he forgot to show up to pick up his daughters from school. Blake makes an appearance in the video and jokes about the premiere of the movie, saying she and her girls weren't going to see it. Don't worry guys, Ryan didn't actually forget his daughters at school, and they of course saw his movie. But you can see that Ryan and Blake keep things light with their family, and apparently it's rubbing off on the girls. Blake says that their oldest daughter, James, has developed quite the sense of humor, and Ryan encourages it. Having laughter and comedy as a staple in this family makes perfect sense. Let's face it, Reynolds might be famous for Deadpool, but his parenting tweets have been so hilarious and on point that he could seemingly make a living just tweeting his dad thoughts. As for Blake, her humor may not be as in your face as Ryan's, but we can tell that she's able to laugh off just about any parenting disaster. Blake has pointed out on numerous occasions that her parenting style isn't exactly Instagram worthy. Whose really is though? Blake told Seth Meyers that it's hard to watch some moms on social media looking perfect. She said some moms have freshly baked pies always ready, where in her case it's like, quote, "My kid is playing with like explosive devices. I don't know where she found them," end quote. These parents clearly know how to keep it real and laugh at parenting life. Do you think you'd be a fun parent one day? Ryan Reynolds is hilarious and fun, and Blake Lively seems so perfect and put together. So you may think that Ryan makes all the jokes at home and Blake does all the actual parenting. Thankfully, this isn't the case. Another rule that these two have is that the parenting duties are shared equally. Ryan said that you just have to do the dirty work as parents, and neither of you should take on more than the other. That is, unless your wife just had the baby. When Ryan Reynolds was on Late Night with Seth Meyers, he said, quote, "Just do the dirty work, man. You gotta do the diapers, you gotta do the middle of the night thing. A human being will exit your wife, so she's done enough. Just change the diapers and do all that stuff," end quote. Ryan is always keeping it real. He also likes to be as real as possible with his daughters and even reminds Blake to do the same. Together they want to raise empowered daughters. Blake recalls that anytime they've joked that one of their girls is bossy, Ryan corrects them by reminding them, quote, "You've never heard a man being called bossy," end quote. It's obvious that Ryan follows the rules of sharing the parenting duties and remains hands-on with the girls just as much as Blake does. This This rule also goes hand in hand with the no overlapping film schedules rule. While one parent is filming, the other one is fulfilling their parenting duties. And since both of these stars continually put out such amazing work, we know there is a definite 50-50 work to parenting ratio going on. So what's Blake and Ryan's secret to keeping this parenting life from going south? Apparently, it's a very simple concept that a lot of couples and parents forget about: communication. This couple talks about everything together, and it's because they're also such good friends. Blake says that in past relationships, she would confide in her girlfriends for help, but Ryan and Blake were already friends before they even started dating, so this kind of communication came easily. Blake says that she'll turn to Ryan for advice over just about anything and that he does the same with her. Blake says, quote, "He treats me like his best buddy," end quote. As if we didn't have enough reasons to be jealous of this couple. They seem to carry this kind of communication throughout their parenting as well. Ryan says that Blake's communication skills stem from an ability to feel for others. He said, quote, "She always responds with empathy. She meets anger with empathy. She meets hate with empathy. She'll take the time to imagine what happened to a person when they were 5 or 6 years old," end quote. Seems like Blake and Ryan both were made to be parents. Little James and Inez and baby number 3 on the way are the luckiest kids because they have parents who work together, follow the rules, and keep life fun. So what do you think of Blake and Ryan's parenting style? Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for stopping by the taco, and we'll see you next time.